Alright, I might be streaming, I might not, I'm not sure. Every time I go on to OBS, it's just a confusion. I'll check on the main YouTube in a little bit. I just want to get one more screen open. Just one more screen and have it blown up. It's kind of unfortunate I got all that black. Oh well. Alright, I gotta see if I'm actually on. So, YouTube, no. YouTube. Yeah, it looks like I'm connected. I see 12 people. And then there's a chat somewhere. Maybe, okay. No. Default. Okay, yeah, I see there's a chat. Okay. Alright, so now I'm in online. I'm live. Now this is a kind of a question session. I want a question session. So it's about what kind of questions can I ask that'll avoid objections. And I guess I mainly go off of statements because that's what's going to be happening. It's going to be a lot of testimony, but also playing those videos. But how do I play those videos without proper introduction of the evidence? Because the way it looks is introduction of the evidence will be objected to. I think that my prosecutor is willing to go so far as to object to his own evidence that his cops collected. If I try to present it, he'll probably go straight off of only testimony without any video, which I think would look bad, but I mean, this is a city judge, so what doesn't look bad to a city judge when it comes to cops side of the story. So what I want to do is look at the video. It's just I'm so unclear of how it will be objected to. I don't see what's going to be a problem. I can't predict how it's going to become a problem trying to introduce this evidence. I'll have two forms that I can bring, but what does that matter? It needs to be authenticated. That's the big deal. And the prosecutor may object. That's my biggest fear. The prosecutor may object to me introducing his evidence into the trial. Because how does that work? I don't know. I see that there's this lack of foundation. I could just see him not introducing evidence and then leaving it up to me, okay? Leaving it up to me to introduce the evidence, and then him turning around and objecting by saying lack of foundation. and it's interesting how that works, because when it comes to lack of foundation, you need to be able to properly introduce the evidence. It doesn't matter If you can't just bring, you could say this is the evidence I intend to bring in, but that's not enough. You have to have like it authenticated, and um, the only way to do that is by having somebody stand behind the videos, and the cops can do that. The cops can account for the videos. The actual tech support, I have no idea who tech support is, but that tech support could stand behind the videos. But who are they? Who's the person who actually um, like manages the police body cam videos? I have never found this out. So that's the primary focus, is the caretakers of the videos, the record keepers. But I don't quite know who that is. I mean, these cops won't even tell me their police policies, let alone who's in charge of the videos. So that's a guess. And is that really an excuse? I mean, to use the caretakers, to hide the caretakers of the videos, to hide the custodial protection. I mean, we could. There might be a couple of names behind it. I don't have a single name. The chief would know, but I mean, once again, the chief has to protect his his resources. Apparently, he finds this is the type of chief who has to they have to protect their lunch. Even they can't reveal their lunches, um, by covering them in paper bags. Everything has to be under wraps and protected in this city, and that's just how dirty they they uh, they want to create. They want to create potential for dirty activities by creating the most secrecy possible. When you got your secrecy locked down and people committed to that, either by genuine allegiance or fear, total fear, as in blackmail, you gotta get people locked into your organization somehow. People who will not like reveal the secrets at any time, who are happy with their jobs, who don't want to um, who don't want to who don't want to ruin the organization out of fear or love. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what most well, I don't know. It's hard to say what kind of opinion most of them have of their organization, but it's it's uh, it's a very closely guarded, protected not only by their own activities, but by multiple court cases too, that the lawyers are using to say that pretty much it's more than just protecting. It's more than just protecting the individual public employees' private information. The lawyers are the Goldweems. They're saying that it's more than just protecting the private individual private employees' uh, personal records. It's also about protecting operations, and it doesn't even matter exactly what the operations are. the operations could be just as simple as how to use the bathroom. They want to protect it. Every level, every layer, every step. I mean, mayor ever found out what the deal was with the chicken? The mayor. He's really, the mayor's on board with believing that I'm a suspicious guy going around trying to bait a traveler, pretty much a traveler like me, is being accused by multiple cities of baiting the cops, baiting people into calling the cops. So people who are like me, like, this is how gypsies are treated. This is how all travelers are treated. Not in every city. At least every other city is like this. At least. Not every city, but still, you say half the cities are like this. You still got to deal with the other half. You got to still deal with that half, and it's unclear. It's never clear which cities are on board with thinking that travelers are suspicious people. Yeah, the and I'm, the torn and tattered flags, they're still flying, but some city workers did come out yesterday and they cut down the tree branches that were that the flag was all tied up in, so they could see out of the multiple problems how they're treating the flags. They could at least see there's a problem with with the flag being caught in the tree branches. They could at least gather that. So multiple problems here. Um, so what questions? What is going to be my biggest challenge at trial on Monday? Those city criminals have violated your rights, and now they are crying, "He made me do it." I mean, they're blaming me for their reactions. They get scared, and they're like, "Gosh darn it, I hate being scared. Why did this happen to me? It's his problem, not mine. He made me scared. It's not my imagination running away. It's not my imagination getting out of hand. No, it's that guy. I've never seen him before. I'm gonna blame him. I'm not gonna blame myself at all." That's the city mentality. Yeah, same place. They didn't call the cops. Well, that's the thing. It's so hard to travel because of this issue with being a stranger, and then I can't travel since I can't. If I'm gonna get charged criminally as a stranger while I'm here, I guess I might as well try to help them get to know me. I mean, I have nothing better to do but to wait for court dates, 5 hearings, and then a trial. Six opportunities to be tossed in jail for missing a court date. That's how the city judge loves to roll. He just wants to give me more opportunities to get thrown back in jail. Let's have another trial date. Let's give him 2 days advance notice. Let's set another trial date. We'll give them another 2 days advance notice. You don't want to bother getting a job when it comes to these city judges. The way they work, it's just no fun. Explaining, you don't want to explain to your employer that you got. Imagine if I was working at Burger King. I was working at like Burger King, and I had to explain to my employer that every time I had a spontaneous court date to make, sorry boss, I got 2 days notice. please don't fire me. I can't show up at this time. I got another court date for like, what, 10 or 20 minutes. But that's just how it has to work. They'll be like, this guy is too much trouble. He's too much trouble. He's getting in trouble with the cops too much. With all these court dates, he's not worth keeping employed. We don't want the cops ransacking our restaurant. We want to separate ourselves from that. So I mean, as a traveler, I was already isolated, but the way the legal system's set up, they like call me out for being isolated to work towards isolating me even more. It's like they want to push me over the cliff. When you become stigmatized, when you become isolated, the cops are there to help push you over the cliff, to give the public somebody to attack, saying this guy is too weird, and we need to really point that out, to really make him feel, to really let him know maybe he's not that aware, maybe he doesn't have enough self-awareness of his weird behavior, so we have to point that out for him better, and give him all this extra trouble about our concerns for him. Yeah, I'm pretty much a resident. I mean, as long as I've stayed here, this is resident status for sure. I know every gunshot that was fired in the past couple of months now. I've heard every gunshot. Because they're loud. Are the cops running towards the gunshots? Yeah, people have complained that the cops are doing nothing. But I think it's cops are like competing. Cops are competing against the criminals to see who can shoot off the most bullets in the city, who can get away with it. I'd love to catch a cop firing off bullets into the air on video. that would be a highlight of my existence, to just catch that. But see, they do it at night. See, cops are smart. You shoot off your bullets at night because it's harder to record. But cameras are getting better with night vision. Cameras are getting better. Excessive amounts of hoops. Yes. Yeah, over ID. I got all these hoops to go through. They believe that they're in the right. They got the mayor behind them. I mean, the mayor is backing them up. People have gone to the mayor to ask his opinion of this. And he says he's behind the cops, he's against the weirdo. It's and I don't know if is he tapped into the pulse of the culture? Are all these guys the judge? I mean, all these higher position government employees, representatives, have they tapped into the public opinion? Have they done a poll? Can they feel the public opinion? This is how a jury would feel. It's hard. It's hard to tell when I have I can't tell with my following. I can't tell. People are just so pro-constitutional. My niche market is too niche, so I can't really tell. Where would you get a fair and open, honest opinion about the circumstances here? Do people want to take down innocent people in an effort to catch the bad guys? Is that the prevailing opinion here? I don't know. I can't tell. I haven't really been able to find out. It's not something you just go around asking. it seems like quite a few people are against me. So if it's enough people that can reach the judge's ears, then I mean that's all he needs. Because a lot of times, the people that matter the most are the people that matter the most can create the best stories and propaganda. The people that matter the most are the ones who can do the propaganda to sway the opinions. Because a lot of people just don't know what to think until they're told what to think. So if the propagandists are against you, which I mean, jeez, when is a propagandist not against me? FOI request how many bullets? Oh, sure. How about we FOI a request their shoe size? I mean, we could FOI request all day about everything, about I don't know, the their ages. Let's FOI request their ages. What's the average age of the cop? I mean, people want to FOIA request everything all day, but I mean, it's amazing the results that come back. I mean, have the people who request who suggest the FOIAs actually seen the responses? Their tests, their throw down their guns. Okay. They wanna the cops will shoot in the air every so often to test if somebody could be walking around with a gun, and they might throw it if they hear the gunshots. Many feel you should just be nice and identify, but no law to back it up. Yep, the law allows us to be mean to people. So it's cultural enforcement. That's the thing, it's like if the judge wants to back up the opinions of the mayor, I mean, of the cops, if he wants to enforce their opinions, I mean, it comes down to him enforcing a cultural uh, him enforcing the culture. That's it. So that's how they're working it. That's how it might be going. It's a real struggle. I think more would be against you. The troublemaking nomad must pay. Yeah, there's so many nomads around that, or there's not enough nomads around here that there's extra sensitive. It's like bears. There's if there's not a lot of bears, yeah. What's going on with the meals? I don't know. There's a couple of videos from me about meals, and it stops there. That's how it works with exposing things. You expose it, and then the story it becomes a little bit of a story, and then it goes dead, and that's it. The best response is saying nothing about it. That's their best response. We'll look into it. That's it. We'll check this out. We'll do a full investigation for you, and nothing comes about. I always had an issue with the group mentality of a small town. Trying to not fit in is a thing. Live on the top of a mountain. Well, I think people get crazy. People get a little crazy sticking around one spot too long. Just FOIA everything. Just let the cops know that you want to know everything about them, and they can sit back and tell you no. Yeah, I wish I didn't have all this black. I could shrink it. I tried to present that picture. I tried to present that picture as a picture, but it wouldn't. Okay, let me get to this. That's window capture 1. Maybe I can bring it. So I brought it up as Microsoft Paint. Maybe I could bring it up as a different picture. Let's see, I'm going to open it with something else. That was Paint, Windows. So I'll try Photos. That might be better. All right. Oh, jeez, it doesn't want to do anything. Yeah, I don't. I just don't. I'm not really able to open up with 2 photo programs. I'm not able to open it up. I can open it up in Paint. What about Sketchbook? Man, that's a kind of a big one. No, that's not gonna work. Photos. How about a photo app? Nope, that's not gonna work. Nope, okay, that's... Yeah, I just don't know how that can open with. I don't have... Snipping, what's a snipping tool? Search the store? Maybe I can search the store. Photo. Ultimate Photo Editor. Okay. Starting download. So it's an ultimate, so it looks like it's going to take up a lot of space. Oh, no. Oh, okay, it's 34 gigs. It's almost done. And it disappeared. Open. Okay, it needs a few seconds. Camera, yes. Oh, no, I don't want camera. Gallery. Okay, and it's on desktop. Screenshots. Okay, on photo editor. Let's see if that opens up. Window capture. Okay. Well, that opens. That's a little bit better. Photo editor. So, oh, okay, let me just, is it, oh, it's showing everything? Oh yeah, okay. Alright, so it's showing everything. So if I wanted to start questioning and asking questions, my biggest, once again, they say the hardest part is cross-examination. But, I mean, if you look at it, for objecting seems hard. But look at the objections here. You could say objection incompetence, unfair prejudicial, irrelevant, best evidence rule. There's some I would use more than others. Lack of foundation, repetitive, compound questions, speculative hearsay leading. So as I'm listening, I'm going to keep these boxes open and then listen as closely to Cloyd as I can, and be prepared to object with one of these options, with anything that looks remotely close to something that doesn't sound right. So I need to do that, but I also need to keep a notepad. Keep a notepad close to me. This little notepad. This little notepad right here. Wait. I'm gonna keep a notepad close to me, and then be writing notes for things that I want to follow up on. Make sure, because I have questions. I definitely want to ask the cops about the ID. I want them to explain their laws and rules and approaches to ID. I want to know everything about their opinions and identification, and how they use prejudice to determine who needs to be ID'd, because the law says the cops may approach you, they may demand ID. Now, that doesn't say shall approach you, shall demand ID. It's a may, it's an option. If the prosecution doesn't present any yeah, but only hearsay, well, I have to object to the hearsay. That you can file all video there and for your evidence as per trial court. Yeah, I want to file, but how do I somebody's gotta like authenticate the videos. And if I authenticate the videos, that means I have to take the stand. Okay? That's the only way it's gonna work as far as I understand. So it takes somebody to authenticate the videos. And the cops, I have to rely on the cops to authenticate the videos. Now, will Benjamin go through the process of asking the cops to authenticate the videos, or will he just skip that and just have me do it so he can turn around and object to me introducing his videos? That'll be interesting. And the best way to do it is while the cops are on the stand. That'll be the opportunity to start playing the video and asking the cop well, no, you start out asking the cop if he ran body cam video, and then start playing the video and ask, does this look like the body cam video that you used? I don't think the prosecutor will do that. I don't think you can't just introduce body cams. Somebody's got to every piece of evidence that you introduce into trial needs to be authenticated. It's just, you just don't start throwing stuff at the judge and saying, here's some evidence, here's more evidence, here's this and that. Yeah, you gotta have somebody who can testify to it, saying, yes, I'm the person. That's what I was saying earlier. There's somebody who is in charge of the body cam videos. They would be a good witness. Somebody who knows how the technology works. Somebody who manages it, who's the custodian of the body cam videos. That's somebody who could authenticate the videos, but I don't know who that person is. I'm not being told anything about that person. All I know is from what I was told by the internal affairs Lieutenant Williams. She said that they put the videos on CD. So there's the CD aspect there, and that's all I know. Somebody is burning those videos on CD. Somebody put the videos on a thumb drive for me. Alright? Who was the person who put the videos on thumb drive for me? Okay? That's like something I'd have to put the prosecutor on the stand to find out. You know, that's not something I actually thought of immediately. And since my prosecutor isn't answering any of my questions, it's like I can't just email him and say, hey, who put those body cam videos on the thumb drive? Who was the person? Because that wasn't done automatically. Somebody did that. What's their name? All right. Did the body cam videos change hands in any way from the collection to to the sharing? I have no name. Once the cops made contact and blocked his exit, Travis was detained. Um, See, that's the thing. They're like using the argument that I was blocked. I think I was detained as soon as Officer Davis saw the library outside the librarian outside the library. The judge is going to accept my motion for dismissal? That's great. Wow. Travis, a good question asked. Would the cops have arrested you or charged you with anything if you provided ID or name or date of birth? Well, um, what's your hunch what's the hunch that I need to do that to say anything? I mean, I'm trying to find out what the cops' problems are, and I was gathering it. I learned that cops showed up. They were one of them ran across one of them ran across the parking lot for some reason. They met some fat lady and in the parking lot, and then came inside. And I'm like, okay, they might be coming for me, but they might not. Whatever. I'm gonna prepare myself with videos and you know, just be prepared in case they did approach me. So I got my laptop open and to the camera and was ready to go. And then I see another cop pull in. I'm like, wow, something is really going down. They had two cops that showed up, and now a third guy. And so I record the third guy, and as I'm recording him, I see the other two approaching me. I'm like, uh-oh, they are coming straight for me. And then we start a conversation. I'm like, what? I'm the emergency? What's the deal here? So that's what I see. And so I want to learn what their problem is. I'm insulted because I get the cops called on me for just walking around the library, walking around the inside of this library. It's insulting to have the cops called on you. So I want to understand what their problem is. But that's it. I need to build a foundation to present the exhibits. That's right. It's about foundation. And as far as I know, the best. Oh, let me just read the rest here. When did the judge say he will accept your motion? Okay. I don't think the cops' body cameras are going to stand on their own. If the prosecutor doesn't introduce them, I'll need to, and he'll give me a real hard time. I mean, if he doesn't introduce the videos, I'll be expecting objections as I try to introduce the videos. Well, what are the chances? Okay, let me ask. Let me do a poll. Alright, so here's the poll. Will Prosecutor Benjamin introduce the body cam videos? I mean, I could object to him. Wouldn't that be something? If he starts introducing the body cam videos, I could object to it and say lack of foundation. Alright? And that's my duty, actually. It's my duty. If he just tries to introduce the body cam videos, it's actually my duty. I would be shirking. I would be lacking in my duty to not object. I have to object if he just tries to introduce videos without foundation. All pieces of evidence require foundation, which is pretty much like a testimony. Did they give you BWC in Discovery? Yeah, I got everything in Discovery. You need to contact Blind Justice. He might help you in the court process as he defended pro se. Okay. How many, I mean, Blind Justice has put out a lot of videos lately. How many trials has he sat in? Like 5 or something? He seems to have sat in a lot of trials. Why is he getting in trouble so much? You did seem surprised you couldn't talk them down. They were out for arrest. Yeah, you can kind of tell that, huh? There was no way to talk them down. So I just, in the short time I had for conversation, I tried to learn as much from them as I could. This is the ultimate culture shock, being instantly arrested and thrown in jail, strip searched and thrown in jail. How do you like that as introduction to a new culture, getting strip searched? I'm the one who has to be evaluated by them. The traveler has to be strip searched. They're strip searching travelers in Natchitoches because they don't trust the traveler. And they wanted to search my cameras, my computers. They probably tried to search my car. I don't doubt that they checked the door handles. Yeah, and it's in every other city. It's not in every city, but it's in every other city. And it don't matter if it's a tourist town. It don't matter what kind of city it is. I can't tell. I still can't tell which cities are gonna take a hard line with me or a soft approach. I can't tell. It's still hard for me to tell, even after traveling the past 9 years. I'll say that most of California, Oregon, and Washington are pretty friendly. They understand there's a lot of homeless around, so it really softens their opinions of the homeless people. But they got a hard line stance coming further east, and that's been in history for a long time. It's the New York, the East in New York, they're hard on each other and they're soft on each other in on the west side. Will Benjamin introduce the body cams? No. Yeah, I don't think he will either. There's a pretty good chance he's just not going to bother. He's going to try to make his work as easy as possible. Just get some testimony and that's it. Oh, Zapton, you're a no? Okay, so it's more like a 60%, 60-40. They were appalled that you would not immediately give them ID and anything else they wanted. Well, they figured if they can't ask it hard off of me, they can certainly force it off of me. They could force me to strip search. I think they might take pride in strip searching strangers. They might have they call me Mr. Claiborne and then strip search me. The stranger strip search. Travis, yeah, it's got a clip. The cops wanted your ID or name and date of birth. I doubt you would be charged or arrested. Contempt of cop because you wouldn't identify. No, I'm not going to forget the fourth. I want to know who they are too. And there is no exigent circumstances to explain why they had to move so fast on me. Did they see me reaching for a gun? They only reacted to me saying there's no crime. I didn't say I'm gonna blow up the place. They didn't see me reaching for anything. It was an encounter where I was just standing and talking, and then suddenly it was like I announced that I was gonna blow up the library. It was like I was gonna. It's like when I announced that there's no crime, it's like I announced that there's a real serious threat about to emerge. On day shift too. These people have no political instincts. The cops, the body cam proved they had no probable cause, and you were never detained for the charge to stick on resisting an officer. Why did they call you Claiborne? Yeah, that's a question I have to ask Officer Davis on the stand. Why did you search my voice recorder? Why did you try to run out the batteries on my voice recorder? Why did you run out the batteries on my phone? Why did you call me Mr. Claiborne? I gotta ask these questions. I'm confused. I don't know why they act like this. I've never heard cops take such an approach. Any police contact or someone called the cops on you in this city after the arrest? Yeah, people have called the cops on me, for sure. But the cops don't really approach me. And I know they've called the cops on me a few times. You can kind of tell the cops drive by you a little closer. They didn't arrest you for a crime, but for resisting. I still don't know the true meaning of Claiborne. Yeah, what is that? What's going on with this name? That's the only time I ever heard it. It's something they reserve for insulting. They wanted to use it to insult you, so when they want to insult you, they don't do it right away. They have to be mad at you to start insulting you. So yeah, we got questions here. I want to ask Davis about, let's see. You're advised the subject. Okay, Officer Davis, what floor did you go to? Officer Davis, what information did you gather from the desk clerk? Is that a little too open? That might be objected to. I don't really see speculative. No. Officer Davis, what did the desk clerk tell you? Officer Davis, did you... Oh, he said he attempted to speak to the desk clerk. Officer Davis, were you successful in reaching the desk clerk? Did the desk clerk satisfy your query? Okay, before... Okay, Officer Davis, what question were you trying to finish when you talked to the desk clerk? Okay. Were you satisfied with the clerk giving you directions to me in the library? Can you, Officer Davis, can you demonstrate how the desk clerk pointed to where I was located? I just go off of his statements. It's just pretty easy to do. Officer Davis, how did they point? Did the librarian point like they were sure or not sure of my location? Officer Davis, were you made aware of the last time that the desk clerk saw me before pointing in my direction? Did the dispatch relay the information accurately? Did the dispatcher, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, Officer Davis, how happy were you with the information that the dispatcher provided you? Let's see. Officer Davis, and I should show a picture to Officer Davis. How closely does my description match the description that you were given from police dispatch? Let's see. Okay. Let's see. We'll continue on here. A wall-mounted table in front of a large glass window, Officer Davis. Officer Davis, are you sure that we were standing in front of one large glass window? Or was it multiple glass windows? Officer Davis, do you know what the building used to be before it was a library? I think I like that question. Officer Davis, do you know what this building used to be before it was a library? Because it really goes to show how related this how this building was designed. This building was designed for a bank. Officer Davis, did you know that this building was designed as a bank? What's going on? I thought I restarted that. Oh, I see, okay. It's just got a delay. The onus was on them to prove or disprove their suspicions. They mistakenly assumed having your name would dispel them. Their suspicions, just getting my name just helped them give me a criminal charge, pretty much. They just wanted to get my name to give me a criminal charge of not giving them my name, I guess. If you have any tips regarding guns, drugs, and more, you could get paid. Yep, that's Crime Stoppers. Officer Davis, when does suspicion turn into a crime? Yeah, how do you transform suspicion into a crime? Bo Diddy is wandering down there. Irrelevant to arrest. What? They rely on the what part was irrelevant? I asked so many questions. What would showing ID have proven to you? Yeah, those are pretty good questions. And Officer Miller, how did you read Mr. Claiborne off of my ID? Miss Officer Miller, where did you see Claiborne on my ID? He looked right at my ID. You looked right at my ID. Officer Miller, when you looked at my ID and then look up and say, "Hello, Mr. Claiborne," where did you see Claiborne on my ID? see. Officer Davis, how visible was the digital pornographic? Maybe I can, let me get to that. I see it. I'm past it now. See, what I should be doing is playing the video as I'm asking questions too. Let's see, it's probably back a ways. Yep, right there. Okay. Back a ways, and want to, let me just, oh, what? No. That one, okay. Yep, slide that down. Okay. Officer Davis, when you turn the corner and you saw, what the, okay, I'm looking for the player? Okay. So Officer Davis, did you see anything in this room that resembled pornography? Okay. Let's, how does it show? Okay, yeah, it's right there. Okay, so I can continue. So, let's see. I should have him look at his body camera as he's as I ask him. I have a screenshot of this. I have a screenshot of his body cam. This is the closest I can get. He stops right there. Okay, that's the closest he gets. Why doesn't he, as soon as he sees this, all this great detail of pornography, why doesn't he just walk up to me and tell me to step away from my computer to secure the crime scene? Because that would have become the crime scene right there. Some pervert watching pornography in the library. Close my photo editor. What's wrong with it? I can move it out of the way more. How about right down there? Is it affecting something? I don't see what the photo editor's. If he was joking, it certainly wasn't appreciated. Unprofessional. Close your photo editor. Irrelevant asking about the library construction or other than the arrest. The library was a former bank. That's irrelevant. Officer Davis, did you formulate a Kramer been committed in your mind before you enter? Did you poop, Officer Davis, did you poop yourself before you made contact? Officer Davis, are you on any medication at this time? Were you on any medication when you made contact with me on January 22nd? We need to know about what medication you might have been on. Did you have even an aspirin? Did you have any energy drinks on that day that you made contact? At what time did you formally that a crime has been committed at the library before you entered or after you investigated? Officer Davis, are you a objection? I don't know what the objections are. Let me bring up my screen. I need to have this screen available at all times while Cloyd is asking questions. Okay. Let's see. I think that's a leading question. Officer Davis, are you at top or bottom? That's speculative. Objection up speculative, probably. Something like that. So we're at the porn. Okay, Officer Davis, did you Officer Davis, did you have any secondary contact with me? And I guess the answer, we know, with the subject, it's not even suspect. Officer Davis, why would you call me a subject when you're treating me like a suspect? Officer Davis, why would you call me a subject if the radio call said that I'm suspicious? Why wouldn't you call me subjective? We have a subjective person walking in the library, not a suspicious person walking in the library. He calls me a subject. Officer Davis, are you sure that I was suspicious of anything? Got arrested, then the cops tried to justify the BS arrest after the fact. Travis is guilty until... But how innocent? It's like, let me ask this in a poll question. All right. Will Judge Owsley find which will Judge Owsley find me guilty or guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? So there's two options there. I think that because the standards for arrest are lower, that the standards for proving me guilty have probably also been lowered, because why would they bother lowering the arrest standards if they didn't lower the conviction standards as well? Why would they bother? Because it just doesn't make any sense unless they're just trying to use the intimidation factor of getting guilty pleas, but it doesn't quite seem like they're trying to do that. It seems like more they're actually convicting people for less. They're arresting people for less and convicting people for less, giving us less protection. It's everything has been scaled down against our defensive rights. Offensive rights have a higher offensive rights outweigh defensive rights, outweigh defensive enforcement. There's a real imbalance in this system, and it's just continuing to be pushed. The cops aren't happy with the cops still, as much as the people have given the cops are still not happy with the amount of power that they have. It's not enough. They're pushing even further, and convicting me will be great proof of that for sure. I actually welcome that conviction. Push that conviction, because I'll love to talk about it. Officer Davis, are you a racist? I would say that objection, speculative. Leading, don't I have leading? Yeah, objection, leading. Leading and speculative? Dismissed, Tasha, quite a scam they got going. Trafficking. Yeah, trafficking is an issue here. They have warnings. Let's see. Dirk says, do we are yours beat or dismissed? Officer Davis, Popeyes or Officer Davis, Popeyes or KFC? Which do you deliver? Which do you prefer? Which do you prefer to deliver? You need to get out of their town. This town isn't mine. You have not met an officer, judge, or prosecutor. You've never identified them I'm playing in fiction. Yeah, bullets are really fictitious. And you censor Pishnikim. Okay. Officer Davis, is suspicion a felony or misdemeanor? That's a great question. I don't have that on my list either. Officer Davis, is suspicion a felony or misdemeanor? Give me, and then we go into after that. If he says it's neither, it's reasonable. It gives me probable cause. Suspicion gives me probable cause. Officer Davis, how do you jump from suspicion to probable cause then? What bridges that gap? Have you had an eye there you go, root beer. Officer Davis, are you on any medication or were you on any medication at the time of my arrest? Do you normally have to wear do you wear eyeglasses or contacts? That would be interesting. How much is he imagining and how much did he see? To check his eyes is really like I should I should bring an eye chart into court. And how far away did he stand from me? I'll, I'll hold up an eye chart for Officer Davis and be like, please read the bottom line for me. Officer Officer Davis, please read this eye chart for me. I'll have to, yeah, that would be really good. Do you need to wear glasses, Officer Davis? Because let's get his descriptions down. Officer Davis, Officer Davis, was I wearing a green jacket? Officer Davis, how do you define a do Officer Davis, do jackets normally have zippers? That's kind of leading, isn't it? I wasn't wearing a jacket. I'd be like, Officer Davis, would there when you describe a jacket, do you assume a zipper is on a jacket? I love your Travis. Okay, thank you, Tasha. Why this city is wasting time? No, this is really positive training for them. Officer Davis gave Officer Favors some OJT training. They got some on-the-job training by roughing up a homeless person a defenseless homeless person. That's how they get their training. They're like, okay, we need to learn the steps on how to properly charge somebody with a crime and then go through with the whole process. And we don't want to do that to our neighbors. We don't want to do that to anybody in the community who's going to stick around here. We want to do it to travelers. We want to rough up the travelers, get some training in, and then we're better prepared. It's really a good training exercise from the bottom to the top. I think even the judge is going through with this for the training. Probably even the prosecutor. They're all doing this because they want to get better at doing it. Roughing up the homeless, roughing up the travelers, and getting training in the process. So really, it's not a waste for them, as they can improve themselves by making life more miserable for victims who don't intend to stick around. I'm Officer Eugenus. Let me see your ID. Are you man, person, You have no idea. Travis, don't forget that the suspicion question, even the internals affairs Williams failed that question. Yep, everybody must show their ID in the car, and even everybody 3 cars down. You gotta show that ID. And she'll collect them and hold on to your ID and then look at you all serious, like you still did something wrong, while holding your ID. It really brings a lot of pride. You feel a lot of pride in being a part of the American system when that happens, when the cops force your ID from you, and then still look at you like you did something wrong. Davis, did you have a single articulable fact? Yeah, let me ask more Davis questions. Everybody looks suspicious to someone. Yeah, I know who I am, so I'm not suspicious to me. Let's see, porn stuff still? Oh yes, Officer Davis. Now, these people in the images, were they not wearing any articles of clothing? Officer Officer Davis, could you tell if there were any fake implants on any of these people? Officer Davis, could you tell if these were actual people or possible cartoons? Were they caricatures? They were in digital form, so they weren't actual people standing in this room performing these horrible acts. They were actually images on a white website page. Officer Davis, what is that white website page with an orange banner? They are who they say. Yeah, Officer Davis, could you identify these pornographic could you identify the people in the pornographic images if I showed you a lineup? I could show a lineup of various naked people for him to try to pick out. But I mean, where's the evidence? Neither one of us has this evidence. Where's the sign that says no no porn allowed? Yeah. How active? How didn't he say? He said that they were moving, right? Being penetrated. Both images were in motion. Officer Davis, can you please demonstrate the motions that they were making in the images, please? Please stand up or sit down or lay. Please demonstrate, however, from whatever position that these people were in. Bent over, standing up, sitting down. Can you demonstrate the motions that they were in? Officer Davis, can you describe in more detail the kinds of multiple devices? The kinds of multiple devices that were on the table. Officer Davis, did you see any devices on the table that looked dangerous? Did any of these devices that you witnessed look dangerous to you? Officer Davis, was there any point in our contact where I looked threatening? Did I threaten you? Did you see anything dangerous in my hands? Did you see anything that looked dangerous within my reach? Officer Davis, did you know that my computer was on a step stool at the... Nah, this is kind of silly. Officer Davis, have you ever used a step stool? He says my computer was on a step stool. Of the complaint, Officer Davis, did you fully... And he calls me a subject again. Officer Davis, why do you call me a subject when I was described as a suspect? Why do you say I advised the subject of the complaint? What did Trish ask? Did they run your plates before they made contact? No, I watched them all on camera. Or I watched them all just as soon as they pulled in. This is a great spot to watch the parking lot. I got up here. I got up here because is a good spot to watch my own car. I like this spot because I was able to watch my own car. I mean, when I go to the libraries, that's not a #1 priority, but it's up there for sure. I like being in spots where I can watch my own car. Most of the time I cannot watch my car. And it's nice when I can. But I mean, when I was sat in jail for 4 days, I was really worried. Having never been here before, and then having to walk away from my car to sit in jail for 4 days, having never been here before, I was freaking out about my car and my situation. It was a real freaky time. Heartbeat faster, swallowing my stomach, nerves all over my body. What crime could have possibly committed, and point out that he possibly could have also? Maybe you need to subpoena the internal auditor at Williams or the chief to state on the stand that their policy and law of Louisiana, when you have to ID a police... Oh yeah, these cops, they demand our ID, but they can't tell us their first names. They can't tell us their IDs. It's just incredible. Couldn't give in. Ask him if he has a medical defect. Yeah, Officer Davis, have you ever been hit? Have you ever had a blackout? Have you ever blacked out? Have you ever had a medical emergency where you had to go to the hospital for anything? Have you had any recent surgeries? Let's see. Officer Davis, were you insulted that I asked? Well, the subject responded by stating that the suspicious was a broad term. Officer Davis, why do you call me a subject when I'm a suspect? It's probably a non-issue. Seb said what? I need to subpoena Lieutenant Williams? Officer Davis, what does a name tell you? Officer Davis, what Officer Dave, were you upset? Were you? Did you expect? No, no, no. What does that have to do with any? I should ask Officer Davis. What does my name have to do with anything? It's just well, we're gonna continue. We're gonna continue the conversation from inside the library in the courtroom now. It's like we had a long break, but now we're back together again for more conversation to talk about the arrest. So, Officer Davis, who really called you? The librarian. Let's see. Officer Davis, do you like being asked questions? Officer Davis, can you handle being asked questions in response to your questions? Do you ever do you ever um, do you ever get clear probable cause upon meeting a subject? What's the most clear probable cause you have gotten when you've met a subject? Is this cross or direct? I don't know what it is. I have to focus. I have to train for direct. Cross is pretty straightforward. But when you have to do cross, it's ugly. It's the hardest part of the court. It's the hardest part of the trial. Are you calling him or just cross-examining? Yeah, I'm gonna call him. He was called on March 26th. He was there. He got his hair done. He starched and ironed his uniform. He might have put on a little cologne. He was ready to go on trial day, but it got canceled. And I'm thinking that he showed up for the prosecutor, and I think he was like well coached. I think he was. They probably spent a lot of time together, Davis and Benjamin, getting coached. So when Benjamin says this, Davis says that type of thing, and they had a lot of practice. And Benjamin doesn't want to practice with all of them. He just wants to practice. He wants to keep the practice to a minimum so he can work on his other important cases. So Davis is Benjamin's baby. Is his golden child for this case. The real problem was something. Oh, look. The real problem is you have laid bare the mechanics of how the court system actually works, and that is what they resent most, and why the judge will act vindictive. Yeah, the Judge Owsley's so vindictive. I make a little argument, and he starts going off the rails. And sometimes, he's right, but sometimes he's wrong. It's really like, if I was a good lawyer, I could throw him off his footing pretty easily if I knew the ins and outs of arguments better. Because even just a little bit of proper arguing can throw him off. But you gotta be quick. You gotta be good on it. He's kind of quick himself. He's prepared. He went through law school. But I'm just a novice. Do you know who else refused to give ID? Yeah, George Washington refused to give his ID to the British. Slam wildflower tea and eat some lemongrass. Yeah, that sounds good. That would settle my stomach. Wild chamomile settles my stomach, but the problem is that it's really difficult to to boil in my car and in all the places I park, because I park in such visible places. Is probable cause required? I'm not parking at parks like I usually do. I'm parking and I'm just parking in spots that I don't like parking in, but I gotta be somewhere. Is probable cause required? Is that the same library in Natchitoches? Apparently there's two, but there's really only one. Is he in the same place he got arrested? Yeah, every day pretty much. If the library was a bank, where is the vault? Maybe the old vault is full of city secrets and you get too close. Yeah, there might be like one of those time capsules. But yeah, the vault is in the center of the building. And the vault is on 2 floors. It's something else. They got the thick door. They just keep it open all the time. Looks like the same exact spot. LA is more like a police state unless you know somebody. Unless you know their names. If you're really good at memorizing people's names, you can get by here pretty good. I don't think you even need to know much about the person. Just know their name, and then you ask for them through other people, and they start thinking, oh, he's must be in with the crowd. Davis, do you understand reasonable articulable suspicion? Please explain. I should start out I'd like to start out lower with Officer Davis. Officer Davis, can you describe a hunch? And would a hunch be a guy walking around a library? Would a hunch be looking at doors? Would a hunch be matching a description? Or does that rise even higher than a hunch? Would a hunch be a crying librarian who cries every other day? See, that's why you need to play as per the rules of court and finding that hidden wild card. A wild card. Claiborne. Mr. Officer Claiborne. Oops, I mean Davis. Officer Claiborne. I mean Miller. You'd think you'd be trespassed from the librarian. I'm waiting for them to trespass me. I don't know why they don't. I'm just sitting here waiting for them to trespass me. Let's see. Officer Davis, did you just ask me to identify myself in the same tone of voice all 3 times? Officer Davis, is this a reasonable way to ask somebody to identify themselves for no reason? Let me see your ID. What is your name? Let me see your ID. Or they were saying, I don't know, I would say they were saying, what is your name? What is your name? What is your name? What is your name? Officer Davis, is this how you get dates? Do you ask the girl for her name, and if she doesn't get it, then arrest her? Officer Davis, are you married? Officer Davis, do you have any children? Officer Davis, do you have any siblings? Are you the youngest or the oldest or the middle-aged child? What's the Davis family like? How would having my ID have dispelled your suspicion? Yeah. It's like ID is they can't ask for I don't know. Yeah, ID is about about it. ID is something is like a, uh, like an instant question that they ask when you're driving, when you have a driving infraction. But these traffic enforcers are trying to use the same tactics on pedestrian enforcement, demanding ID. And what's the ultimate purpose of an ID? It's to of a driver's license. You take a test and you have to pass a test, a driving test, to get that driving license. That's the biggest concern. You don't take a driving test to get a driver's license for any other purpose than that. And they're treating and Officer Davis, do you still beat your wife? Officer Davis, do you keep a notepad and pen? Is there is there I didn't Officer Davis, I didn't see you pull out a notepad and pen. Were you just intending Officer Davis, do you memorize names easy? What if I gave you Joel Schmegel? What if I told you the name Joel Schmegel and I gave you and we be quiet for 30 seconds? Can you recite that name back to me? How good are you with memorizing names? What, Officer Davis, what's the longest period of time that you've memorized a name? Would do you ask for ID from a subject who you've met a month, who you've demanded ID from a month later? Officer Miller, where do you strip at night? Do you have, okay, children that lived? Okay. Officer Davis, have you gone by any other name? How, I would be interested, how many people have you arrested for failure to ID? What what is a fair amount of time to give somebody to to tell you their name? Officer Davis, if somebody um, d do you treat everyone equally? Have you arrested anyone who did not understand what you were asking? Officer Davis, have you ever arrested anyone who spoke a different language? Yeah. Have you ever demanded an ID from your date? Officer Davis, have you ever arrested anyone who had a mental handicap? I gotta check something. I need to show. Okay. Oh. Okay. Let's see. What other questions can I ask? Let me just think here. All right. I got a ton of questions. I need to practice so hard and fast. It's on Monday. Officer Davis, were you training Officer Favors that day you arrested me? Was this a training exercise for officer favors? Oh, come on. I seem to have lost something. Oh, I know what I did. Okay. Okay. The Nampa. I've been in Nampa. That's kind of a modern library. That's a big library. Nampa, Idaho. Officer Davis, is it acceptable for someone to ask why you want to see their ID and if it's required by law? Is it acceptable? Officer Davis, do you ask for ID from the same person twice? Do you ask for ID from Officer Davis? Do you ask for do you demand ID from your mom? Would you demand ID from your mom? If your mom was called in as suspicious at a library and you were the responding officer, would you demand ID from your mother? Officer Davis, were you jealous of my shoe size? Officer Davis, do you consider deflection of answer is deflecting an answer because of a lack of Officer Davis, did you deflect any of my questions? Did you deflect my questions? Officer Davis, you say that I deflected your questions. Did you at all at any time deflect my questions? When I asked you what crime I was suspected of committing, do you remember saying suspicious person? What criminal statute is suspicious found under? Is that right? If I looked for suspicion in the statute, in the revised statutes or the Code of Criminal Procedure, where would I find suspicion? That would be interesting. That would take some time to look. Have you received training on civil rights? What is the difference between failure and failure and refusal? Failure. No. Resistance. Okay. What is the difference between resistance and refusal? Resisting an officer, refusal to ID. Why not refusing an officer and resisting an ID? It sounds like they turn up the heat a little bit. It's like a level. You only have to resist an officer, but you have to refuse an ID. Was I refusing an officer? Is freedom of speech to speak or not to speak? Oh, that's a good one. I have the freedom to not speak. Let's see. Officer Davis, how soon would you have arrested me if Officer Miller had not stepped in? Officer Davis, at what point did this scene become Officer Miller's scene? Was Officer Miller the ranking officer? Have I received training? Delay in providing versus refusal. Resisting, like, resisting is like when cops grab your hands and you don't let them put your hand behind your back. I'm getting charged with resisting an officer, but not refusing an officer. The refusal part comes from the ID issue. Resisting and refusal. They have sensitized arrests to a higher level than other states here, and I'm afraid that they've also, in the process, have sensitized the conviction too, from guilty beyond a reasonable doubt to just guilty. The judge can have a little doubt. Guilty with a little bit of doubt. The judge is going to announce, I find you guilty with a little bit of doubt. Because this guy is still, he's like on the level of preponderance of evidence for traffic violations. He's convicting people of seatbelt violations, which is only a preponderance of evidence. It's not guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And he's convicting people of that. And then he's telling me that my charge is on the same level as a seatbelt violation, and that's why I don't need a lawyer, because it's all the same. No big deal. It's not mandatory jail time. It's my option. I can hold that over your head. I don't have to just give it to you, say sorry. It's in the Louisiana statute. He can say, well, the Louisiana statute suggests I choose between 0 and 6 months, and I'm going to hold that over your head. But the seatbelt violation that he compares this to, I'm not too sure a seatbelt violation would carry a 0 to 6 month jail time, incarceration. Officer Davis, when did you stop? Officer Davis, when were you weaned off of milk? Officer Davis, when did you lose your baby teeth? Do you understand? People have a right to withhold ID if not being detained. I want to learn. I want to establish why we're talking. Yeah, sure. In some seminars, some organizations, if you're meeting somebody for the first time, you walk up to them and you shake their hand and you say, "Hi, my name is Travis. What's your name?" You're meeting on a cordial, friendly, under healthy circumstances. It's not contrived. It's not forced. It's natural. It's friendly. People are relaxed. People want to meet each other in seminars or just at church, at school. People just want to chatter away and get to know each other. But when you got people come up to you and accuse you, make you feel less than human, insult you, disrespect you, when you got people that come up to you and disrespect you and then demand your name, I don't know. I just don't know how anybody uh, would want to uh, how anybody would want to enable that kind of behavior. These are people on. These are wild animals running around on day shift, going around and insulting people, disrespecting people, and demanding compliance on day shift in broad daylight. There's no darkness. There's no nighttime. You don't go around on day shift insulting the public. And I mean, these cops don't have any sense how to treat people. There's tourists that come here, and they're acting like this around the tourists. I wish I had um, more witnesses in person, but I mean, I have I created a lot of witnesses on camera with my 3 cameras at least. That's the best I can do to to bring this to the attention to others. But still, the mayor is standing behind this grotesque behavior of the cops. What did you mean by we have a right to talk to you? Yeah, we have a right to talk to you. Of course, I have no problem with them coming up to me and stopping and talking about the situation, but when it starts getting into Fourth Amendment territory, when they start accusing me of possible criminal acts and demanding my name, the Fourth Amendment kicks in. For most people don't know that their Fourth Amendment rights kick in as soon as the cops start accusing you of wrongdoing and demanding and being disrespectful and demanding all this information from you. Most people don't know their Fourth Amendment rights kick in. And I say most people in the nation. But what about in the city? I think even more people, a higher percentage of people don't know that their Fourth Amendment rights kick in. Not even the mayor. The mayor probably doesn't even know. And he stands behind these cops' behavior. I'm gonna start asking, what's your hunch? What's your hunch, officer? Please tell me your hunch. Let's start at the ground level here. I don't care about their reasonable suspicion, because they never have it. In these circumstances, over and over and over and over and over again, they're responding to a call for service, and they're working on a hunch at best. The mayor is certainly behind it. Mayor Ronnie Williams. He stands behind the way his police are acting. He stands fully behind it. Thank you, Chevy. I appreciate your generosity. First donation of the day. uh, so I guess I've gone through this quite a bit. Officer Favors, Officer Davis, why did you hush Officer Favors? Why did you let Officer Miller talk down to Officer Favors? And I would like to ask Officer Favors, how did you feel about being hushed by Officer Miller? Davis, were you investigating me without my knowledge and using my statement against me without you advising me? Yeah, pretty much. They were just trying to gather information right there and then look for anything they could use against me. They could twist and turn, just like it was instant with the Crime Stoppers call. Acting weird turned into suspicious. Walking around the library turned into casing the joint. casing the joint, checking the doors. Who checks the doors? When they say checking the doors, Officer Favors thinks that means it's probably from the outside of the building. Who checks doors from the inside of the building? It's like, it happens. Let me ask. The place and checking doors mean, let's see, let me think about this. Does casing the place and checking doors mean doing it? Does casing the place and checking doors mean doing it? Casing the place. Oh, place. Let's see. Okay. Does casing the place and checking doors mean doing it? Alright, I'm gonna just go with this. Do you assume, when you're told somebody's casing the place and checking doors, what is your first thought? That's happening outside or inside? Can you use hunches? Yeah. How many, Officer Davis, how many hunches add up? How many hunches can you add up to equal a reasonable articulable suspicion? How many reasonable articulable suspicions can you add up to equal probable cause? Because we're talking totality of circumstances here, so we're going to total up the circumstances. We're going to add the total of these circumstances to equal the proper charge. How many misdemeanors do you have to add up to equal a felony? All right. Is that what we're doing here? We're doing a little math. We're going to say one casing the place plus 1 matching the description plus 1 checking the doors plus 1 acting weird. That's 4 hunches. That's 4 suspicions. Okay. How many general suspicions add up to equaling a criminal suspicion? All right, we got 4 general suspicions. Is that enough to equal a criminal suspicion? Is that am I using proper algebra? I just, I think people are like looking at totality of circumstances like it's a math problem. We're solving math problems in law enforcement here. We got mathematician scholars working with badges and guns, adding up all these formulas together. They know that they have to follow there's certain laws in mathematics, the law of mathematics. They have to follow. No skipping steps. If you skip any steps in math, you're going to get a wrong answer. But that doesn't quite seem to work with cops. They can skip steps and still get the right answer. All right, I think I'm gonna stop it here. I think I have stopped actually. Thank you, Lisa.
Me too.